Well, I know that Big Al normally comes out after communion, but I thought maybe we should begin today's message for everyone with a chat with Big Al. So, how are you, old buddy? Thirsty. Thirsty? Ah, well, good. I've got something that might help. A rock. A rock. Yep, you said you're thirsty, so here, go ahead and have a rock. Maybe there's some water in it. Rocks in his head. Well, Big Al, I know, who would think you could get water out of a rock? But that's how surprising God is. What? Well, in today's first reading, the Israelite people were running away from slavery, and they were in the desert, and they were so thirsty. And Moses said, please, God, give us water. And God said, okay, Moses, take your staff and strike that rock so water would come from it. And I imagine Moses looking at God and then looking at that rock and saying, you crazy. Well, I don't know if he said that, but Big Al, it is really hard to imagine, isn't it? That God would do that, but that's what God does, Big Al. God comes in surprising ways. A rock, yeah, even like water from a rock. And God does that for us too. Not regular water, but the best water, that is Jesus. Whoa, don't get it. All right, well, let's listen a bit, and I'll see if I can help explain that a little bit. And here, you go ahead and have a little bit of water. Okay, take care of yourself, buddy. That guy is crazy. Anyway, well, maybe. But my brothers and sisters, is it not true that often enough, you and I stand before that which at least feels to us like a rock, right? Those hard times when there's heartache or loss or scared. Things are crumbling at home or at work. We're so frightened. We're struggling with addiction. There's been all kinds of health issues in our family, or that person keeps driving me nuts, or whatever. And we think, how could there possibly be water in that rock? The answer comes for us today in this stunning and surprising interchange between Jesus and the Samaritan woman. And of all the things that could be unpacked from this story is this gem. Now, this woman is thirsty, so thirsty. She comes in the heat of the day, and she does that on purpose, I think, because no one else would go then because it's the worst time of the day. And she goes then because she doesn't want anyone else to be around. She doesn't want to have to feel their disdain for her. A woman married multiple times, she knows what they think. Loser, loose woman, who knows what else, and it hurts. And she was thirsty. She was thirsty for water, but she was also thirsty for so much more, as we all are. And at that well, she meets Jesus, whom she can tell is someone special. And she says, I can see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but you people say that the place to worship is Jerusalem. But then Jesus shatters the old way of thinking, that is all wrong. For Jesus suggests it is neither place. Faith is not localized to one particular place, but to all places. It could and would, this gift of faith, of life, of connection to God, could well up inside of her anywhere. And it does it right there, right then, in the midst of this desolate time of day and desolate time in her life, love, life bubbles up within. No, she didn't need another husband. She didn't need to go to any place designated as holy. Right then, in the heat of the day, with this stranger she just met, life-giving waters well up inside of her, and she's changed. Her life has changed. And that's the promise for all of us. Like Moses and his people in the desert, like that woman, we all thirst. And often enough, we stand before that which seems like rock, right? And we are invited, as did Moses, to strike that rock with the rod of faith. Now, as I've said before, God never promises to fix everything. God never promises that everything will be okay. But God promises, no matter what the rock we stand before, that life-giving water can emerge right then so that we can be okay. You know, we stand before so many rocks. I think this could feel for some like this just a tiny rock compared to what I stand before right now, right? You know, some sort of oppression or struggle or clinging to be okay emotionally or mentally, the illness, family tension or loss, loneliness, fear, all those kinds of things. But we're invited to stand before it with faith because right there is life-giving water. Somehow inside of us and around us, Jesus is there. And in those moments, often enough, we get just enough of a sip of water to help us hang on until we can drink more deeply and more freely. You know, as I've preached over the years, many of you have heard me talk about times in my life which seem so dark, or dry, or desolate, or frightening, or crushing, and how even then a sip of life-giving water would show up in a way that I needed it to be okay. And I'll bet if I did a show of hands, I'll bet so many people could say, you've known that too. And that really tough time. Somehow there was a moment when there was water in that rock where you sensed life. Maybe it was you saw someone being kind. Maybe it was that little piece of music at church that just kind of caught your heart. Maybe it was someone smiled. Or maybe something in here, for just a moment, it didn't feel quite as heavy. Or the breeze caught your face. Those little sips of life-giving water are enough to help us hang on, I think, I hope, until we know we can drink more deeply. And I would suggest if, as I asked that question, you could think of those moments, those are the stories to share. That woman took this good news and ran to tell the whole world. We don't go run to tell the whole world necessarily, but there's that moment when someone's struggling. We don't try to fix them. You say, we invite them to hang on, and we tell them we'll believe for them when they can't believe because we've experienced it, that there will be life. And who knows? Maybe you just listening would be the sip of life-giving water they needed in that moment. From time to time, we'll all stand before that which is rock. And you and I are to stand before that clinging to the faith that even the rock, that which is rock, holds life-giving water.